How do you think Brodie Croft looked today?
Thought he looked like Brodie Croft, but in a better coloured jersey.
Leeds has won back-to-back Rugby League titles. The golden generation finally has its golden fleece. No England game, it seems, is complete without a Ryan Hall try. Jamie Peacock.
Kevin Sinfield.
Rob Burrow.
Jamie Jones Buchanan for Leeds.
It's one of the most popular beards in rugby league, that.
There aren't many in Super League that can do that.
We just want to be a great friend, and if we can all try and be a bit of a better friend from time to time, I think we have a bit of a better place to live in.
The Lot Pod is kindly sponsored by Fast Signs. Fast Signs are an established family-run business who have been providing businesses around Leeds and West Yorkshire with effective signs and graphics for almost 30 years. Fast Signs are passionate about helping customers make a statement with signs that are eye-catching, effective and delivered fast.
Hello and welcome to the Lot Pod. I am Statman Rhys. As always, the Lot Pod is brought to us by our good friends Fast Signs. If you don't know what Fast Signs do, if you're in the South Stand, you'll see the amazing things they've done, the signs of Rob Burrow and the displays there. That is all from them. Before I obviously kick off today, it is Sunday the 7th of July, what is now going to be known as Rob Burrow Day, and it was his funeral today. We do send our best to Lindsay, Maya, Macy, Jackson, Jeff, Irene, all of Rob's family and friends on what would have been a sad day, but hopefully a celebration. It was absolutely amazing to see the streets lined with rugby shirts from all teams, all colours in Featherstone today. I hope the day went well for the family. We're sending our best to them. Joining me today, there's no Eddie with me today, so it is our good friend Sam. I was texting Sam on Saturday and he told me he hasn't been on to review a win yet this season. At halftime I was cursing him yesterday, but Sam is here to talk to us about our underwhelming win yesterday. Sam, how are you?
Yeah, not so bad, thanks. Glad to be back on. But yeah, as you say, it's nice to be reviewing a win. I just wish it was a bit of a better win, really.
Yeah, I mean, I was texting you at halftime saying it's your fault. This is really because we booked you on.
Yeah, although I did remind you that you're the one who invites me on, so you got to bear that in.
That is very, very true. So let's go straight to the positives. I've actually got 3 written down here, but I'm actually going to start with a different one of the ones that I haven't written down, which is, as you can probably tell by my voice, I did enjoy yesterday. It was a very, very good day in general. But I've got 3 positives. Have you got any, Sam?
Just that we won and that we've struck
won.
two wins together, and that's about it.
You know what? I didn't even write down as a positive that we won. Which feels a bit daft, but yes, we did win. My other positives were that I don't know if you were around at half time, but the way they introduced the kids teams with the music and introducing each team by one. I don't know if that was a one-off for Family Day, but that absolutely has to stick. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I'm glad we didn't see a repeat of the Golden Point game last year against the Giants when we saw about 15 drop goal attempts and none of them were anywhere near. So I'm glad Brodie just got it done from that perspective. And I also want to celebrate Rhinos' actual cunning plan, because I think it was planned all along to take the game to Golden Point, keep as many fans in the ground as possible so that they could watch the England game in the South Stand after there. So they were my positives, Sam.
Positives that weren't really about rugby then.
No, absolutely not. So on the review, Sam, I just want to start with the lineup, because me and Chris talked about it quite a lot on the weekly pod. We talked about maybe where we should be playing players, or is it certain games where people like Jack Sinfield play? What were your initial thoughts on the lineup when you saw it yesterday?
I was quite pleased with it because it was as close to as full strength as we've been for quite some time, and I think we got that momentum from the winning the league game, and despite the occasion being what it was because of the sad passing of Rob, there was some good feeling around it. The club and the fans seemed to come together again, and I was hoping we were going to build on that. So I thought going full strength yesterday was probably a good idea, just to keep the wins coming, get another good performance in, and yeah, hopefully keep spirits high. Really, didn't quite.
It was probably it was probably the first time though we've had. I mean, 4.5. I'll class Gudeman as half a prop, but he actually should really class him as a prop because he started a prop yesterday. We have 5 props on the team yesterday. We had a really bulky bench, which was an interesting move because I don't think we've seen that so far this year, having that amount of size, would you like? But I think the other question for me as well was the centre partnerships. We seem to have moved Newman onto the other side with Ash, and that sort of sticked. And I thought we were doing that really for injuries or having Momorowski cover with more of a younger player or an inexperienced winger. What are you making of that centre partnership change, and do you think it's working?
I think it makes the side with Handley on slightly stronger. I think they work well together, but then I'm not sure we quite get the impact the other side. Just before Momorowski scored yesterday, actually, I was thinking I've not really seen much from them two. So I think we rely quite a lot on Handley anyway for yardage and giving him the ball because he works hard. Harry Newman kind of demands the ball, whether he should be getting it at the times he wants it or not. I think we end up being a little bit one-sided sometimes, and that, especially when Harry's having a game where he wants to be involved, but he's not actually making the impact, and he's doing too much and trying too hard. I think it probably ends up being, to our detriment, really. But I don't actually mind Newman and Handley being together. I think if they get it right and when they get it right, they are dangerous. But it's just, I think there might be a bit of an imbalance there, really.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't firing on all cylinders yesterday. So let's go straight into the stats because there'll be some talking points from here. Our possession was 51%. We completed 28 sets, and here's the humdinger, Sam. Set completion was 56%, which is our worst of the season and is actually the second worst in Super League this year as well.
It doesn't surprise me. It was awful yesterday, wasn't it? It was just
yeah.
At no point did we actually just manage to hold on to the ball or complete enough sets to build any momentum or put any pressure on him, and that's why we ended up in the situation we were with 10 minutes to go. And it's just a massive issue that, well, I'm sure we'll get onto it later. It's just a massive issue that we couldn't.
Yeah, it is a big issue, and I think that's probably what concerns me most in these numbers. But I'll carry on. We had 210 carries, was actually our most so far this season. 1,416 metres with an average gain of 6.7. Post-contact metres was 735, and that was our third highest of the year. Tackle busts 44, missed tackles 31. We conceded 1,309 metres, 13 errors, which, whilst it sounds a lot, isn't actually the highest we've done this year. If honestly, I probably think that's about average now. If I just quickly look across on my other screen, our average is 11, so it's higher than normal. And then we conceded 5 penalties as well. But I'm not sure they count in that error count right, because I swear there was more than 13.
It felt like it. It felt like there was 13 a minute, really. It was frustrating.
So many on there, so I think there's more than actually that's on there. And then from a player perspective, we had Croft leading with the carries with 20. Miller, Frawley, Aledski and Martin all had 19 carries each, and that was actually a season high for Matt Frawley and Nikolai Aledski. And then into the metres, we had 7 players over 100. Aledski 150, Frawley 140, and that was his season best. His previous highest was 89. Miller 127, McDonnell 117, again season best for him. Previous best was I think 73. Martin 110, Hanley 107 and Newman 103. Tackle busts 9, Newman 6, Martin 5 and McDonnell and Croft 4. And then into the tackles, O'Connor 56, McDonnell 53, Smith 46, Martin and Aledski 40. And in the errors, it was Newman with 3. And there was also 2 for, I'm sorry, I can't think, there's 2 for some players as well, and I can't get it up on my screen. 2 for Aledski and 2 for Miller. So the first talking point I want to go through, Sam, is metres.
Yeah.
And specifically the props. So whilst Aledski got 150 off 19 carries, the 4 worst meter counts all belonged to the other 4 props in the side. So Lasone was 44 off 7, Gudamond 42 off 7, Sangaré 32 off 4, and SA 14 off 4. So if I add them together, that is 132 metres off 21 carries. Aledzki did 150 off 19.
And Aledzki's the one who gets loads of stick and has been getting stick through the season for not doing enough or not being that player that he was in 2022. And it is, what more can he do to carry this pack?
He's carrying it yet again, isn't he? Absolutely. Yeah. And he always has done. And I think that's for me is. There's a lot of worse things about yesterday. The set completion rate was 1, but that is really alarming for me in that performance.
100%. When I was watching it yesterday, I was thinking to myself, we're playing at Headingley, we're playing London at home, and we're getting bullied. We're being, they controlled it. We didn't make any sort of dent in them really. And I just thought, like, even when Lasone came on, and people, fans love him. They've got that song for him. And he just doesn't make. In fact, normally it's when he plays these kind of teams when he does make an impact. But yesterday he did nothing. Absolutely not. I think he even made an error when it was
him that we were right in front of the post in Golden Point, and he offloaded it, and we lost the ball. And you're there going, "What? Yeah, what are you doing?"
Yeah, to be honest, I'm at a point with Lasone where I'm thinking, what's the point? Like, what do you offer? What are you offering?
I think I'm thinking that in general with the pack, to be honest. Like, we can't if Aledzki gets injured or, concussion or whatever, we lose the 4 players worth, don't we, on those stats there. And he is just a one-man pack at the moment, and we really do need to see some improvement in that area, because otherwise I think, if we're wanting to claim the season's not over, which it isn't, but if you want the fans to get behind you to believe that we're moving forward, I definitely need to see some improvement there from there. So I think that's one thing that went wrong, Sam. But from you, what else went wrong yesterday? Why was it so lacklustre?
I think the players fell into the trap of thinking it's only London. And I think that wasn't just the players, it was the fans who turned up, because I turned up thinking I'm not really that bothered for this. It's London at home. It's a Saturday. I'm just going to enjoy my Saturday. I'm not massively into it. And Chev Walker mentioned it in his press conference. There wasn't an atmosphere. People just turned up, expected us to win comfortably, and they'd go watch the England game after or whatever.
I think I'm guilty of that as well. I mean, me and Chris were on the pod, were saying that I don't want to disrespect London. It sounds like we're disrespecting them, but in reality, they are a part-time team, and the quality is vastly different, or should be vastly different.
Well,
but we certainly did see it.
Game all season, haven't they? So you turn up, you're playing them at home, and we're on the back of that Lee win. You're thinking, and we've had 2 weeks off, so we should be pretty fresh. You're thinking this will be easy. I'm just going to turn up, enjoy watching Rhinos, probably put 50 points on London. And I'll go about my business afterwards. But I think the players, came in with that same mentality of it's going to be an easy day. We'll do what we have to do, and we'll come away with 2 points. And they quite quickly found out that London weren't going to let that happen. And London should have got something out of that game. I quite like Golden Point as a rule, but or as a spectacle, but. Yesterday, it was one of the biggest examples of a draw should be fine, because London shouldn't have gone away from that game without anything, and they should have gone away really. If you're putting it, if you got points for effort and commitment, London won that 10 times over.
They certainly felt like they wanted it more, from my opinion. When they got that first try, you kind of felt that. Oh, it's just, we'll come back from this. And we did come back from that. And then obviously then they scored 2 further tries. And and I thought the halfback, Ollie Leyland, had a great game. He was causing so many problems. A fantastic player for London that I think we definitely need to see in Super League again next year, because I think he was brilliant.
I thought he was pretty good when we played him at Headingley a couple of months back. I know it was a bit more comfortable that time, but he threatened a lot in it. He put some decent kicks in, and difficult player to tackle, and I know our defence isn't the best for just making tackles anyway, but Yeah, I thought he was quite impressive that day, and he was probably even better yesterday. So fair play to him on that
and on the
front.
atmosphere as well. Part of me is like, it's a two-way street, isn't it? Fans feed off what they see. So when we saw the little scrap with Martin, fans fed off that, and the next couple of sets were the crowd responded and lifted to that, and you respond to what you see on the field. There was the collective groan on that first try when I think Ash or Newman had stepped out and it was a complete misread and he just walked through. And whilst I understand Shev's comments that we were lacklustre, but equally it's not our responsibility. Sometimes it's our responsibility to lift the team and help and support them, which we should do. But equally we feed off what we're seeing on the pitch.
Yeah, 100%. And it's I think there's a bit of a worry there as well that. Is this a team that actually has to have an emotionally charged fixture or a reason to play like they did against Lee? They should be able to just turn up against London. Again, not to disrespect London, but they should be able to turn up, be professional about it, and do the job and get the job done comfortably. But because there was no atmosphere there, it's like they went, "Oh, this is a bit flat." So that was reflected in the performance. So it's. That's a mentality thing that they need to sort out. And, as you say, we fed off each other, really. It was, you're not doing anything on the pitch, you're not doing out in the crowd, so let's just have a afternoon.
Yeah, and to be honest, I agree with your points of London. I mean, London were the better team lost. They deserved the points. So I think it's important. It was a very strange one. But I also felt we were lucky that London's lack of maturity or professionalism in. And when I say that, I mean as a part-time team and with lesser experienced players, is with that 6 minutes to go, they had two sets in our backyard, and really they should have been slotting them over. And I was talking to some fans around me, going, I can't believe they've not gone for the one here. Like, I know London had the opportunity early on really to probably wrap that game up, and we were lucky that they didn't take that opportunity, and we were lucky that we won the toss for the golden point, which put us in the right field position after the penalty as well, to win the game. So I do think London deserve an absolute ton of credit, and they will be gutted they walked away with nothing, but they were the better team.
Yeah, you could tell they were gutted as well because they all collapsed pretty much at the end of the game, didn't they, when that drop goal went over? So. Yeah, that'll have taken a lot out of him, and they just deserved at least a point. And as hard as it would have been for us to see us lose yesterday, you couldn't have begrudged them, win at Headingley yesterday because they did deserve it. And I'm actually a bit disappointed for them that they got nothing out of it because I was so annoyed at us that I was like, we didn't deserve that, so they should have had it. But that's sport, I guess, isn't it? But I don't.
Yeah, it is.
2 points happily. But,
yeah, look, we've got the 2 points, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. I'm looking forward to really sort of moving on from it. But yeah, I know London definitely did deserve it from there. So, in terms of players that shone out, and I'm going to say someone here that people probably don't agree with it, or probably don't want to hear this, but I thought Matt Frawley had a fairly good game yesterday. I thought he was one of the better players in a poor performance. But what I felt strange about Frawley was he felt like he was playing six yesterday.
Yeah,
I didn't really see a lot of Croft yesterday at all, other than his drop goal.
Yeah. He definitely, tried taking on the line a lot more. He was looking for gaps, and it did feel like if anyone was going to create, an opening, it was going to be Matt Frawley because, as you said, Brodie Croft was incredibly quiet. He was, considering what he did against Lee the other week, we were expecting a bit more of that, and he was just. I was surprised when he said that he was had the most carries actually because I didn't see that.
Yeah, that surprised me, to be honest, as well.
Yeah, he was.
That really surprised me, and I thought, and I think Matt Frawley's stats sort of back up my thoughts on that he was one of the better players because again, it was his most carries had so far this year, his most meters. He does have the slowest dummy in the world, and I don't know how people fall for it. I remember playing with someone when I was younger that had the same thing. It was the slowest dummy in the world, and it was like, how do you fall for it? But you fell for it every time. But he was the only one really for me that was sort of taking on the lines and sort of making those sort of half breaks from there. But Croft, just looking at Croft's other stats, he got 20 carries, but he only made, I think it was 3 meters per carry. So he only made, so let's get his meters up really quickly. He only made 68 meters off those 20 carries. So the numbers suggest to me that there was that, whether it was planned or not, but Frawley was definitely feeling more like that 6 role in that position.
Yeah, well, yeah, I agree with you. He was just, I think Croft's numbers were affected a lot because they just looked so unorganised yesterday. There was a lot of throwing the ball around and then not actually knowing what to do with it. So Croft were just sort of taking the contact or being caught on the ball before he had a chance to actually work out a plan. So, yeah, it wasn't his best game, and fair play to Frawley as well because he does get a lot of criticism. And again, it's London without disrespecting him. He's a quota player. He's come over from Australia. This is the kind of game he should be making an impact on. And I think we should probably say as well that he wasn't actually, he didn't do that much to stand out in the end. He was one of the better players in a really poor performance. So, yeah, he might be able to take some positives from it and feel good about that. But it depends on standards, I guess, doesn't it? What you actually do with.
Absolutely. So, I mean, let's talk about the tries, obviously, then. So, first try for us, Ash Hanley. Actually, quite a nicely well-worked move on that left-hand side. The biggest shock for me was Newman's passing. I thought Newman probably could have scored himself and probably should have scored himself to Newman, but he made that pass. But a nice little move for Ash's try there.
Yeah, it was just simple, wasn't it? Was it from a scrum that? I think it was, wasn't it? Or was it from? I can't remember. It was
I can't remember.
Yeah, it was. It looked nice anyway. We just put it through the hands and created space, and we don't actually do too much of that sometimes. So it was nice to see us actually do it and finish one off. And yeah, I wonder if that's the result of Newman spending another week with Sean Wayne, or the England team anyway. Sean Wayne wouldn't have been around too much because he was in hospital, wasn't he? But
yeah,
he seemed to, especially in that series last winter. He seemed to be a bit of a different player, didn't he? He wasn't as selfish as he had been with Leeds during the season, and maybe that's the result of that. Because this time last year, he wasn't passing that as we saw in that challenge.
Well, he probably should have. He probably should have scored himself. To be fair, I thought he probably should have done. But it meant that Ash had a nice, easy walking, which was good. But and we're supposed to be talking about a Newman as well. Bit of a niggle injury towards the end. He obviously was subbed off in the interchange, so we can only hope that that's not a too serious injury for Harry. Whilst he has had a quiet season, he is still a player that can create something, and we are a better team with him in it. In the second try, really nice line from McDonald. Great pass to put him through. Fantastic ankle tap, I may say. I thought it was absolutely through, and then a nice offload to Momorowski for that one. What did you enjoy that one?
Yeah, just as you say, the McDonald line was just nice to watch. He did a couple of them yesterday, I thought, and he was. It was. We just need second rows to run those lines sometimes, and he was there and it worked, and it was good that he managed to get that offload away after being ankle tapped. That he didn't just sort of take the tackle and wait for contact. He wanted to keep the play alive and got Momorowski over, which was Momorowski's. I think he's still trying to win people over. A lot of people over. So scoring a try at home would have done him any harm, really.
No, not at all. And then obviously in the third try, it actually feels very similar to a try that Rhys Martin has scored before. Very similar, coming from the left-hand side, playing towards the east stand, obviously taking that line inside and going under the post. I can't remember what try it was this year where we scored a very, very similar one, and probably was a lot of try as well. But again, Rhys doing Rhys Martin things there. Yeah,
well, he's one of the most reliable players in the team, isn't he? So no surprise to see him on the end of that and, basically saving us. So, just if any player it was definitely going to come from that side anyway, that try. So, I'm glad it was Rhys because he deserves, to get not the glory, because yesterday he definitely wasn't glorious, but he deserves to be on the end of these things because he's one of them he always tries, he's always there, and he's just a fan favourite, isn't he? So I'm glad it was him.
Fantastic, yeah. Any other players that sort of stood out for you yesterday? It feels like there's not a lot of talking points in this game, to be honest. I wrote a list of things and we're flying through them, but I can't think of really lots of talking points from that game.
No, I can think of plenty of players who stood out for me in the wrong way, but I wouldn't say in positives. It's few and far between, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean the the Golden Point sort of what was your mindset going into Golden Point? You know, I know you said you quite enjoy the concept of it.
I like the concept of it. I don't like us being in it because I just don't trust us to kick drop goals.
We didn't have anyone last year that could do it, so it was nice to see Brodie just have one chance and get it over straight away, and a nicely kicked drop goal as well.
Yeah, it was straight through the middle, clean contact. Can't ask for any more from a drop. He knew he was taking control of that as well, and he set himself up. I don't think we even waited for the last tackle. I think it was on the third or fourth, and he knew what he wanted to do, and he just did it rather than the messing around that we have seen in other years with what London did yesterday, and kicking it directly at their own player's head. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah, but
that should have been a positive.
I took my girlfriend to the game yesterday. She's from London, so we chose that one with the bring a friend for free thing.
Yes.
So she said to me at the time, she was like, "Who kicks drop goals for Leeds?" I was like, "It's a good question."
I wasn't quite sure in my head who was going to be the one that was going to take that responsibility. Part of me thought might have been Lachie Miller, because obviously he does quite a lot of kicking as well. But yeah, it was nice for a change just to go into Golden Point and just at our first opportunity knock one over straight away, and just get the game done. And the exodus of the crowd was quite funny. There was a good cheer, and everyone was like, "Right, football, go!" running out of the stand. I don't think I've seen the South Stand empty as quickly as that before.
Normally, I'll stay to clap them off, but I wasn't even watching the football yesterday. I'm not that bothered for it, but I was that annoyed with the performance that I didn't feel like it deserved me to stay any longer than I already had to to actually applaud it. I thought you've just about got the job done that you should have done comfortably in the first place, and it was such a struggle to get there, and the commitment and the effort that they showed was just, it wasn't there. So I thought, I'm getting out of here pleased that we've got the win, but just fuming at everything else, really. So yeah, it was I think a lot of people have done the same, and they definitely did, because struggle getting down that getting down the stairs. So yeah.
So Chev, in his post-match press conference, did allude to the fact that he's not really changed much since Rowan's gone. He's sort of kept the same principles in and routine. Do you get the feeling that sounds true, and we're seeing that on the pitch?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the first game without Rowan that's not, been emotionally charged. I know there's only been two, but it is the first one where they've not had, a massive reason to put a performance in, and that yesterday what we saw was more of what we've had for most of the season, and actually probably worse. And
were you expecting Chev to maybe try put a stamp on it, or do you think it's not his job to do that? It's his job is just to steady the ship and keep things going whilst we are making this appointment.
Yeah, I think he's just there to keep things ticking over and just do what he can, really. I think he's got a lot of respect for Rowan as well, and it sounds like they were pretty good mates. I know they'll work very closely together, so that he'll have a good understanding of what Rowan was trying to do, why he was doing things. So I don't think he'd want to shift from that too much, just out of respect, really. So yesterday was, performance-wise, even though it was worse than anyone was expecting, considering what the game and who we were playing. But I at no point have I thought, right, we've got Chev Walker in charge now, we're going to start seeing free-flowing rugby and put 70 points on teams and look like 2015 treble winners again. It's just, we've got to wait until we make this coaching appointment, whenever that does happen, for real change to be visible, I think.
Yeah. And finally, before we sort of go into the player ratings, Andy Ackers obviously making his first appearance back for a while. What did you make of Ackers' performance yesterday?
Yeah, when you asked me earlier about any other players who stood out, I should have said Ackers, because I thought he actually added quite a lot to us going forward. I thought Jared was really quiet yesterday. I didn't see him offer too much, and Andy he was just doing the things that needed to be done and getting us moving forward a bit quicker, I won't say we had momentum then, but we just looked a bit more direct, and especially when towards the end when we were either looking for the drop goal when it was 16-all in normal time and in golden point. I just thought he got us moving in the right direction, and he did add a lot to us, I think.
Yeah, I thought he probably should have come a bit early, when everyone knows that I've got a lot of time for Jared, friend of the pod, from there, and he is a tackle machine, but I actually quite like it when Cammy comes off for a bit and Jared goes to 13 and you've got Akers there as well. I thought there was a bit of a change of pace when Akers came on, so hopefully we'll see more of him in his minutes. Another quiet game for Cammy, actually. It's going to show in the player ratings. His performances are still not where I thought they would be this year. At the start of the game, he seemed to get his hand on the ball a bit more than he had been doing, but he certainly didn't carry the ball as much as he normally does. He's normally a player that gets over 100 metres, but only 13 carries for 78 metres. What's going wrong for Cammy, or what's not going so well for Cammy at the moment?
It's tough, isn't it? Because there is this captain's curse, so you don't know if it is that. We've not had you can probably count Danny Maguire as as one, but even when he got appointed captain, he was out for basically a full season, wasn't he? So
yeah,
it didn't even go particularly well for him, other than the grand final year. But I don't know if he just needs a bit more of the system might not be right for him. He might need a bit more opportunity to actually, play the game that he wants to play, or either be told, you're playing this game where you're a ball playing 13, or you're just going to take the ball up and get a quick play of the ball and get us moving that way. So he looks a bit stuck in between the two at the moment, and I don't think it helps that the rest of the pack, apart from Aledzki, aren't doing anything, because there's no, he doesn't get that time to actually take advantage of the quick play of the ball and get the ball moving and find gaps, or poke his head through. So there's just a whole combination of things that
I think it is a combination. I think you're right, because I look at quite a lot of yesterday. I ended up shouting, going, "No one's help him." You'll see someone make a half break, or someone's running along the line because they picked up the ball loosely, and there's no one running lines off or putting themselves available. And I don't think Cammy's helped by that, because his role is very much that, to make that half break, and he always gets his shoulder through the tackle and his arm through to make an offload. And I just do think sometimes it's a combination of things, like you say, where the players aren't just helping each other out enough either, with the effort not being there as well. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Yesterday, anyway, the effort yesterday was probably the worst we've seen it for some time, really, because you could tell by the amount of breaks that London made, where it was just half-assed attempts at actually getting hold of him. It was just
there was that one, wasn't there, where it was for their first try, wasn't it? But where they made that break and would just tend to fall off tackles. But there was another couple where I think Fussy made it right at the end. But yeah, it was just lackluster, wasn't it? I think is probably the term I'm probably going to say.
Yeah, that about sums it up. But yeah, it was just a complete opposite to that league game the other week, when you've gone from seeing what they can do and the effort that they can put into what we got yesterday. It's really disappointing, actually.
It's total opposites, isn't it? I mean, I was unfortunately away for the league game, and I missed a pod, and I think I could have talked about that league game for hours, if not a day. I've watched the game back. I've rewatched the game through probably 2-3 times now, that league game, and I could have talked about it forever. And then this game, there's not a lot to talk about. Yeah. So it is exactly the opposite. So linked to the effort, let's go to the player ratings, because the lackluster performance is reflected in the ratings as well. So I will go through these. React as you do, Sam. Lackey Miller, 4.2.
Yeah,
Fussy Tour. About right.
Just on Miller, by the way, I'm starting to. I know a lot of people on this podcast are big fans of Miller. I'm not seeing it. I don't enjoy watching him. I do enjoy Myler at fullback.
God, I do like him, but and his moment, he shines bright in some really great moments. But then sometimes I'm just like, it's not so great. It's very mixed bag. I think the consistency is what concerns me with Lackey in that we don't see a consistently high performance. It's very opposite ends of the spectrum, and his player ratings show for that as well.
Yeah.
David Fusitua 4.1, Momorowski 4.8, Newman 3.9.
Oh, I think that's harsh.
It's a bit harsh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ash
He was
5.
more involved than the other side, so and he
Yeah.
made that break towards the end where they probably tried tackling 3 times and he kept going.
He made 6. I think he made 6 tackle busts, and I think 5 of them came on that one towards the end because he was going side to side and forward. But yeah, Ash with 5, Brodie Croft 5.8. But despite us saying Matt Foley was the better of the two, he got 5.2.
That's just based on who he is. That's purely.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately. Alensky 4.5, which is too low for me.
Yeah.
I know he made some silly errors, but 150 metres better than the 4 of our pops combined.
The errors only come because he's knackered, because nobody else is doing it.
Exactly. Jared 4.4. Goodemon 3.8. He had a really bad start, didn't he? He made that silly knock on. I think he then conceded or missed a tackle or conceded a penalty. I can't remember. James McDonald 4.9. Rhys Martin 5.7. Cammy 3.3, the lowest on the day. Andy Ackers 5.2. Sam Essay 4.6. And Lasone and Sangre with 3.5. And Chev Walker with all those with 3.5. So why do we do the player ratings? It's what everyone puts a scale of 1 to 10. It's a form that I send out after every game. We then use these to help us choose our Fast Signs player of the match. Have you got any nominations you'd like to bring to the table, Sam?
Frawley. I'll go with Frawley because I don't think I'll ever say it again. So I'll give him his credit well I can.
Any other honourable mentions?
McDonald got a decent meters, couple of line breaks. I don't think Ackers was on long enough to actually be up for man of the match. No, I don't think there is anyone else really. Frawley or McDonald.
I think I might add Rhys Martin in there because he's always in there for me from that perspective. But I do agree with you, and I can hear people shouting at the podcast as they are listening to this. But I do think Matt Frawley deserves to be the player of the match, and we will name him so from there. So, a slightly shorter match review, but that does leave us time, Sam, to talk about the news that came out on Saturday morning and the reports from Australia that was then picked up by UK journalists that Brad Arthur is going to be the next Leeds Rhinos head coach, but only for the remainder of the season. Now, I have read every single person's comment on this, and I've read it all, and I've gone, yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that. I can understand that. I could understand every viewpoint that I heard, and I couldn't make a decision myself until the game yesterday. And I'll tell you what that decision is in a bit later. But what was your sort of initial reaction to the name and then the length of the deal?
The name Brad Arthur, it's absolutely the type of coach we should be going for. If we want to show that we've got ambitions of getting ourselves out of this hole that we're in, pretty much he's had a 10-year stint with Parramatta, so if he's free, go get him, absolutely. But the length of the deal was a bit of a... But with the rumours in the recent weeks, I always had a feeling that he'll come over for a bit, but I didn't think it'd just be 11 games. I thought he'll do until... I think it's the Perth team, isn't it? Or whichever NRL side that's been in contact with him. That if he's got something lined up there, for future anyway, he'll come do a job with us and then go back over. But 11 games was a bit of a surprise, disappointing for sure. Because while he could come in and make an impact in that time, because he's a good quality coach, it's there's just no long-term plan there again. I know they'll be working in the background on who does take over from next season, and it's not their fault that I'm sure they've tried their hardest to convince him to come over for a couple of years and really get his teeth stuck into it. But yeah, it's just one of them, innit?
And how about the viewpoint that, because one of the comments I did read was they've obviously tried to go for him for the long term. He's not done it, and then they've gone, well, come for us in the short term. What do you think about it? Do you think it shows ambition from the club to say, look, I know you don't want to do it long term, but come for the short term. The season's not over. We want you to sort of lead that stint. Do you agree with that mentality? Do you think the club are showing ambition and makes you feel that they think the season's not over by just bringing him on the short term?
I think that's exactly it. It's just, there's not long left in the season, and it's not being great, but what are we, 4 points off second or something somehow? So it's not.
You know what? I've not even looked at the table. I probably should.
Considering how this season's gone, we're genuinely not that far off, and that's not because we've been good. It's because other teams have been losing more games than usual. Backing up Gary Etherington's point that the Super League's more competitive than ever, but he'll remind you of that when he can.
Yeah, I mean, we are 7th now. We're quite clear of 7th, i.e. 8th. We're 6 points ahead of Huddersfield, and we're only 2 points behind Catalan in 6th. And then Salford, KR, Warrington, St Helens are all joint second behind them 4 points. So the season isn't over. It absolutely isn't. So when I first saw the news myself, I felt it did show ambition. I thought, well, at least we're not resting on our laurels for the rest of the year. Part of me yesterday was interested to see how Chev would do for the rest of the season. Absolutely don't want to do that now at half time. That made my mind up straight away that if I was slightly reserved about Brad Arthur coming on the short term, my mind completely changed. I imagine quite a few fans' minds changed at half time in that London game. So I do. And obviously Ian Blease has said nothing has been confirmed. I think that's why he joined the press conference, post-match press conference yesterday to say, look, nothing's been signed and agreed. But my mindset's changed during the game that I do think it's probably the best thing to do to bring someone in charge in that interim period, because I'm not sure after what we saw yesterday that we are in the fight properly. We need something to change things about, and I know that does mean that he doesn't have a lot of time to change things. It's just we'll be changing things and then changing them again. How does it affect our recruitment if it's only interim? Is another thing I've heard. I've heard someone say, is he coming just for a 2-3 month in-depth scouting mission, so when he signs up for Perth he's taking Arthur T with him? Like, I've read all these, and I do think to worry
about that. There's not that many.
He can take the props with him. So, and then I suppose that question of how you rebuild, but Ian Blease is responsible for recruitment now, as part of it. So I suppose if it is Brad Arthur in the short term, Sam, what does that mean for 2025 for you? Do you think there's an obvious name now that stands out for 2025?
Just one other point on Brad Arthur before I go into it.
Yeah.
Your next question. I think if he does come over for these 11 games, there's two parts to it. It's the club showing that the season's not over and they still want to make something of it. But I think it could also...
Which I like.
Yeah. I don't see why we wouldn't do that, really. It just so the players know more than anything that, they're still expected to put some effort in. But I also think working with a coach like Brad Arthur might make a few of them sort of a bit of a reality check for some of them. And they'll go, if he calls them out saying, you're not up to this or you're not doing enough, or, if he just comes in and goes, this is the standard and this is where you are, then it might just make a few of them, sort of just rethink about what they're doing, about how they're going about their, day-to-day training, how they approach matches. And even if he doesn't stay beyond the end of the season, then, they've still had that time with him where they've gone, all right, I can be better than this and I will be better than this. So I think that, if that happens, then brilliant, because the standards at the club have been too low for too long. So if something like that can improve that, then do it. And, well, whoever comes in from next season, it's their job to maintain it from there and even improve it. In terms of your next question, for next season, I think there's only one real option from all the reports, really, and it's Paul Rowley. And when that first came out, I wasn't too pleased about it. I don't think he's got no track record of being at a big club and winning trophies. So it'd be another gamble. But at the same time, he arguably the best option over here. the best alternative to Brad Arthur on a long-term deal. I said to you yesterday that I think it will lead to Ian Blease getting some criticism because he's giving jobs to his mates and he's taking the easy option. But if the club have done everything they can to get Brad Arthur, it's not worked out, and Rowley genuinely is the next best option that we can realistically get, then I don't think you can criticise when they're doing what they think is best and probably is best to.
Yeah, and as I said to you yesterday, the Rowley rumours have been around to Leeds before Ian Blease came across, so it's not exactly new. I part of me thinks that they may have approached Arthur. He said no. They've then gone to Rowley, and Rowley's gone, I want to see out the season. He strikes me as the sort of guy that is a good guy that will want to see out his contract at Salford. He's very loyal to them. He's already turned down Hull already this year. And I also think Salford won't want him to go halfway through the year because they are currently fifth. They're only 4 points off top. They're in a playoff campaign. Why would they let the coach go during the year? So I think that's when they've gone back to the table with Brad Arthur. It is a shame we can't get him now, but if the door's not open, the option is you either wait until 2025 or you go find someone else that's available now.
Yeah,
but they might not be the right run.
Yeah, well, I think with Rowley, look, he's, as I said, he's not done it with a big club, and he's not won a Super League, he's not won a Challenge Cup, but also he's not had the chance at a big club yet, has he? So who knows what he can actually do? And from what he's done with Salford, considering the player turnover and the rugby they play is actually, it's consistent. It's at times it's really nice to watch. So if he can come into Leeds, or if he does come into Leeds, and he can get us playing like that, and just we all want to go watch rugby and enjoy it, and we haven't been doing it. So if we can then go to Headingley on a Friday night, and if I can change my mindset from it is so boring here to, well, we might not have won, but at least we've played.
Yeah, at least it's been a good game of rugby and you've been entertained. Because at the end of the day, that's where we go to sports games, isn't it? It's entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to be invested in it again. Every game I go to, I want to fully care about it again, rather than
you want the buzz, don't you? You want the buzz of getting in the car, turning up at the stadium, going, "Oh, I can't wait for this," which was missing from yesterday.
It's missing absolutely. Too much. I can't. I've lost count of the amount of games I've been to this season. I'm like, I don't even enjoy it here. I come because I paid for a season ticket, but I actually find it quite boring most of the time. So,
well, to be honest, I'm coming because it's a day out with my mates and my family. And I think that's. But again, you still want to enjoy that, and the rugby's not been there. So look, I like what he's doing at Salford. If you can bring that entertainment back and also wins, then I'm not gonna complain at all. I think Leeds will need to move quickly if he is the guy that they want, though, because I've got a feeling that there's going to be another vacant Super League head coach spot soon in Huddersfield, and they'll go for him as well.
Are wanting Wellens out as well, aren't they?
Yeah, God, they're worse than us. They're bloody second, and then they're never out of the top four. Come on, try me us for years.
They've had their turn. You've had 4 Super Leagues and a World Club Challenge. Just pipe down for a little bit.
Pipe down. And that was actually a positive, I should have mentioned about the game. The fact that we did win and meant that it didn't overshadow the fact that Saints lost to Castleford. So I should have mentioned that as a positive as well. But that is it for the Lot Pod today. Slightly shorter than normal, probably because of the underwhelming performance yesterday. Sam, thank you for coming on the pod, and I'm glad you finally got to review a win. Let's just hope the next review for you is more entertaining as a game. If you like what me, Eddie, Chris, Sam and all of the regulars do, please make sure that you are subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking like on any of our videos. If you do subscribe, it means you won't miss out on any of our future content, and we are on that journey towards 1,000 subscribers, and we're currently sitting around 630, 640. If you listen to us on Spotify, Google or Apple, again, please rate us 5-star if you think we deserve it, and we absolutely are. And finally, we do have our Patreon account, so if you want to throw us a quid here and there, it's not to put our content behind a paywall. It's to help us grow the community, grow the channel, and to make this podcast as best as it can be. Sam, thank you again for coming. We will be back for the midweek pod, likely on Tuesday evening, as that is when the team news will come out on Tuesday, 2 days before the game at Warrington. Enjoy the rest of your week, and take care.